Back on February 13th, 2018, at the MJ Freed Theater, they hosted a conversation series on media in Chester presented by Chester Made. The theme for the event was the intent and content of media related to Chester. What is the impact and the role of media and the reporters who tell the stories of Chester? The program was moderated by Ulysses Butch Slaughter, and on the panel was myself, Phil Herron, the editor of the Delaware County Daily Times, Eric Brother Shamari Grimes of WURD Radio, and our surprise guest was Bill Nix. This is a video that I took of the event. I didn't get it all, but what I'm bringing you here are excerpts from what I did capture that is exclusive to Bill Nix. It's the last we've heard from Bill Nix, and he had some gems to share. It's all out of context, but here it is.
One of the things that, as being a local guy who connected with somebody to help with a local paper, over the years, in my association with Delaware County Times as a community editor, people will call me all the time and say, I know this story, or why isn't the Delaware County Times talking about this? One of the things is, no matter where you are, no matter what the economic structure, no matter who's in control, you have to attempt to, well, I don't care if it's channel 10, channel 12, if you don't pick up the phone and attempt to tell your story, how can it, I've heard this 1,000 times, people saying, well, they don't cover this and this person don't cover that. Pick up the phone and ask them. Call their editors. Tell your own story. And in today's world, you can literally tell, but be careful that you tell something that is as honest and clear as possible.
So you're everybody.
All right, thank you so much.
I didn't give my answer. Am I allowed to give it?
Yes, please.
And it's very personal to me.
All right.
Chester is a small town with some great people. And I say that with as honest as I can say. It has a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, but Chester is a small town with great people. I have to only agree with Phil. And here's a
Take all the time you need.
No. and let me, because even though you said today, and it's hard for me to kind of switch 30 years into today, because that same answer that I would give today, I would have had 30 years. I spent 25 years trying to, as a private citizen, impact the school district, impact parents, putting education first. I was the president of a PTO at Chester High School for 3 years and had no kids. People would walk up to me and say, why are you doing that? Because somebody taught me that you have to do something. So the ideal of the school district, the teacher association, the parents, the companies, the whole community has to set a standard that education, because it will benefit everybody across every level in every situation in this community if everybody focuses. My favorite thing to say, when I was a PTO president, if as many people showed up at a basketball game,
Amen.
would show up to a PTO meeting, that would change that school instantly. Sorry, I'm getting a little wound up. Let me calm down.
Don't calm down.
Well, as a consumer, I don't know if this is something that, as a consumer, that I've fallen into a trap, but violence sells. Whether I want to look at it or not, if somebody gets shot, when there was a shooting and I think 2 brothers shot 2 other guys, I feel that. I feel for the families. So it connects me with the story. It might be a negative story, but it connects me. I happen to know the father of one of the guys that were killed. But I'm just saying that from a local perspective, from a consumer, that somehow, because of the stories behind people who are killed, it connects me because I know the families, I know people who know them. You know, the same way I would look at, you know, one of the basketball players in Chester. I'd like to read that story too. But the stories about that type of thing, and I can't explain why, connects with me.
Harm that goes with the selling.
Well, this is not a necessary response. I'm listening and taking in what you're saying. But I'm thinking from a humanistic point of view. Always war, always destruction. It's not a particular race. It's not a particular anything. It's a human nature thing. For whatever reason, I mean, you know, initially the question was, from my perspective, was about kind of urban violence and how it's reported on. But then I just thought about, you know, and I don't want to push away from, you know, the urban violence, but just the world.
Right.
Violence is part of the world, of every nation, of every group, in some way or another.
But this level of violence.
That wasn't a good story.
One of the things that I want to say, I want to thank you for that. I was an alum I was a captain of the Chester tennis team. I used to go and help Mr. Providence, help with the tennis team. So that was something that was very close to me. I remember that story. I remember when I read it, and I just want to right now thank you, because I knew a lot of those young ladies. But thank you for doing that, for stepping out, because you know in Chester, if it ain't about basketball, nobody's interested.
I want to ask you another question.